fellow bookworms to TBR's Den. My name is Whitney, and today we have round 3 of Once Upon a TBR Hunny Jar, which is my TBR game, and we will be choosing the books for March. And I'm so excited. I look forward to playing this game from the moment that I end the last round. And I'm just really excited to continue that on. There is going to be a little bit of a change this month. I'm going to be using a 20-sided die instead of pulling out the disc, just because my whole goal with the TBR game was to try to make my TBRs a little bit more manageable, and so far that hasn't really happened. Not only, the first round I only got 13 prompts, added 14 books for those 13 prompts, which was Ani's fallen asleep here. Which was definitely doable for me. Like, I have large TBRs, so 13 is very doable for me. And then I added a bunch of books on, like I had some rollovers, I added some extras, and ended up with 28 books somehow. Last month, again, I think I ended up doing, so for February, which we're still in February, I ended up having some rollovers again from January, and I only did like 3 rollovers from January, but still, I already had a large TBR. I think I had 17 books, and then I added some more because I wanted to participate in some things this year, and there was Battle of the Boy Bands, which I'm participating in. I added on the Team Buddy Read, which was Daisy Jones and the Six, which I've already read and really enjoyed. Tales from Two Trails, which is Kim over at Expedition Through Pages. Her channel and her TBR game is very interactive, so I always like to participate in that. And there was one prompt, which was Expedition Through the Pages, and we got the country of Mauritania, and so I got a book for that. I want to participate in Autism Reads, which is the channel An Autistic Reader. Again, all these will be linked down below, but I want to participate in that. So I already added on a bunch, plus had rollovers. And so yeah, it just hasn't been keeping my TBRs to a manageable level like I have wanted to. And so I'm going to try to die and get less books, so when I'm adding on all these books, it's not quite the big deal. And I also have my readathon, which is Genreathon, which is going on all year long, and each month is focusing on a different genre. So definitely want to try to get March a little bit more manageable so I can have time for some of the books that are outside my TBR that I'm adding on and such. So first up, I want to talk about my Genreathon books that will be on my TBR. So for March, the prompt is Mama March. Just pretty basic, just focusing on the M, and it's to read either a manga or memoir. And I'm going to actually be fulfilling both prompts. Manga is the genre that's outside of my comfort zone. I've only ever read one manga, and it was the Death Note Black Edition Volume 1, which had Volumes 1 and 2. And so I'm going to be reading Death Note Black Edition Volume 2, which has Volumes 3 and 4 in it. And this is by, I always mispronounce, but Tsugumi Oba and Takeshi Obata. And so this is my choice for that, and that's definitely outside of my comfort zone. I don't use the prompts, try to get these to fulfill a prompt for my game. So this is just on top of whatever my game pulls. Now, because I do read memoirs a lot, if I can get this to fulfill a prompt, I definitely will. And so this is going to be what I read for that prompt, and it's Scrappy Little Nobody by Anna Kendrick. I've wanted to read this since it came out years ago. I just really like Anna Kendrick, and so when I found this at a thrift store, I was so excited. I picked it up, and I just want to read it. So there's that. So those are the 2 books for my Genreathon. Like I said, Death Note is just going to be on top of whatever I pull for my game, but Scrappy Little Nobody, if I can make it work for a prompt, I will. And then I have several others that I would like to get on if I can. It's worked out so far the last 2 months that I've been able to get what I want onto the TBR. But first is the last book in the Friday Harbor series, which is Crystal Cove. I've been buddy reading this series with B over at Mama Needs to Read Romance. So we buddy read the first 3. We're currently reading the 3rd one. As I'm filming this, I'm about halfway through the 3rd one. And so this will be the last one of that series. So I definitely want to add it in on March, get it read. I also need to jump back into the Dresden File books. I only have 4 books left of the main series that will get me current up to this point. I know in 2022 he came out with an audio one that goes as part of the series, but and I do have the 2 like anthology collections, but I need to get back to it, and so I would really like to get Cold Days on here, and so I can read this. And I'm just gonna try to add one of these each month going forward, so that way I can get back into it and finish it up. I got really burnt out on this series, but I think I'm ready now. I want to see how it wraps up. Next is one, again, I just keep putting it on, not officially onto my TBR, but I keep trying to work it on, so I keep mentioning it. And that is There by Tommy Orange. Just one that I found at a thrift store and I'm really interested in. So we'll see if I can work that one in. I also have Lessons from Lucy by Dave Barry. So this one was given to me by Kelly at Books I'm Not Reading, and I've been trying to get this onto a TBR for months and months. The problem with this one, even though it's short, is that I have a project in mind for this, and so I really need time to not only read it but work on that project as well. And my TBRs are always just so huge, I haven't been able to do that. So hopefully I can put this officially on my TBR, and then hopefully my TBR is also a little bit smaller so I can actually work on that project. And then I have the last 2 books for my ABC Author Challenge that I still have not gotten done. So that is Eve by W.M. Paul Young and Who is the River by Paul Zallis. So hopefully I can get both of those officially on my TBR as well. If not, I'm again hoping my TBR will be a little bit more manageable so I can add these on anyway and not just have a ridiculously large TBR like I always do. So that's the intro. I know it's getting very long, so I'm going to go ahead and get the game board set up and we'll jump right into the gameplay. So I'll be back in just a moment. Alright, so before we get into the gameplay, I did have 4 books that I did not complete from my January Once Upon a Honey Jar TBR. And so 3 of those did get rolled over. One of them did not, which was Winter by Marissa Meyer. And so any books that I don't roll over, the prompt is going to go back in. And so for Winter, it was Hercules. There it goes. So it's Hercules 0 to Hero. So this is going to go back into the honey jar. And so that way, I'll mix it in here. So that way I can maybe pull it again and fulfill it again. But the ones that I did end up roll over, those prompts will stay out. So there's that. And then, again, just a reminder, we got to choose our character first. So here's our character prompts. So we get 1, we get Christopher Robin, and that's a coming in of age or middle grade and younger. Get 2, that is Pooh, and that's a classic or comfort read. 3 is Piglet, auto by author or reread. And 4 is Rabbit, which is a free choice. So let's go ahead and see who I'm going to be getting for this round of Once Upon a TBR Hunny Jar. 2, so that is Pooh. So that is a classic or a comfort read. So that's a good one. I'm really excited. Okay, and so we'll kind of remove that now. And now we're going to use, like I said, this round we're going to try using our 20-sided die instead of our little colored disc in the grab bag. And again, just a reminder for the colors. So we land on blue, the genre is sci-fi. We land on yellow, it's historical, not fiction. I originally wrote historical fiction, but it kind of came up last month. As long as it's historical, it could be fiction or non-fiction. We got green as fantasy, red as romance, orange as mystery or thriller, purple is any genre. We land on black, we move forward 3 spaces, and we use the genre for that color, but we also have to pull 2 honey jar prompts if we land on black, other than the last black space because you can only move forward 2, or there's one space where you have to go back to the bench. And so those black spaces don't count. So yeah, let's go ahead, and we got our little Pooh Bear here. All right, so let's go ahead and we'll do roll 1, which is, I don't think you can see that, is a 7. So let's go ahead. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that is purple, and purple is a free genre pick. And so we just need our honey jar prompt. So it can be any genre, but we need, let's go with this one. Okay, so this is the 3 bears from Goldilocks. So it's Homey, Comfort, so a favorite. So this can be either a favorite author or a reread. That's a favorite of mine. It's just one of my favorites. So there's that. We got our dice here again. And let's go ahead and see what we get this round. Okay, so we got 8 on that one. 7 and 8 is blue, which is Sci-Fi. Let's see what we have in our honey jar. So we need a Sci-Fi. That. With this one. Okay. This is Puss in Boots, so we need a Sci-Fi that has a sword element. Alright, let's go ahead and see what we're going to get this time. 13, which is actually one of my favorite numbers. So, see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 is green. So that is a fantasy. And we need a fantasy, which, ooh, so fantasy, that's a free pick. So this is a bookworm. I can choose whatever I want for that fantasy. Okay, go ahead. And then we got an 11 there. So let's see here. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So another purple, but we had to go backwards to Pooh Corner. And so since it's a purple, it doesn't really matter. But purple's generally any genre. But when we land on special squares, that means that it doesn't matter what genre anyway. So kind of got a free genre, but we need, oh, so it's Gopher, so it's in my day, and it needs to be a historical fiction. So that works because it's any genre, but I got a genre prompt, so we'll have to pill a historical fiction. Okay, let's go ahead and see what we're going to get next. Ooh, that went rolling. So it landed on 15. You can see that. There you guys go. It's a little blurry. So we got 15. So 15. So another blue. So another Sci-Fi. And let's see here. And we got another bookworm. So, ooh, this is a good one. I know exactly what I want to read. So, Red wants Need More. I actually got this prompt off of Chris at Chris Corner. Again, channel will be linked below. And I love this prompt. So, I'm really, really excited for that one. Okay. Go ahead and see what we're going to get now. Ooh, nice. So, we got 20. So, I don't play Dungeons and Dragons, but I know that's a good thing. So, let's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 19, and 20. We land on another purple. So any genre for this one. And let's go ahead, do this one. Okay, I love this. So Big Bad Wolf, it's another dog pick, which the dog picks go back in because I absolutely love them. And so yeah, I'm really, really excited for that. And I can pick literally any book for the dog to pick from. So that's a great one. Okay, so before we get into the next roll, so I'm close to the end now. And I decided, because when I pull the disc at the end, if I can't move forward, I set those discs aside. And the number of times the number of discs I set aside, I choose my last book based on that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same thing with the rolls. If I can't land on either the red or the blue, if I'm going to go past it, I just have to keep rolling until I can get the exact count to land on those squares. And then whatever rolls I can't use, the number of rolls I can't use will determine my last book, because I really like that aspect, so I really want to keep to it. So let's see what we got here. So we got 5, which I can move forward with that. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's red, which is romance. And we need a romance, which, let's do this one. Oh, it's another heffalump. So a romance, and the prompt is they're multiplying, so it has to be part of a series or something like that. Just they're multiplying. There's a lot of them. Okay. So I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So anything less than 5, I can still move. And unfortunately, it got a 6, so that doesn't count. So let's see. Ooh, and I got a 2 that time, so I can move forward 2. 1, 2, which is orange, which is mystery or thriller. So I need a mystery or thriller that. So this is Owl. I can read an ABC book. So that means a random letter generator, and the book needs to start with that letter. So I need a thriller that starts with a random letter. So now I need 3 or less. It kind of landed in between 18 and 4, which that doesn't matter, and it was more 18. So let's see what we can get. So now we got another 13, so again, can't move. Got another 6, again, can't move. Oh, perfect, so we got a 3 that time, and so that gets us to the North Pole, which is blue, so we need a sci-fi. A sci-fi that... Ooh, so this is The Hunchback of Notre Dame, and so a sci-fi that has a disability wrap. Love that. So, all right, so that is the game board portion. I'm gonna go ahead and try to find some books, and I will be right back. All right, so we are back. We got our books picked out, which this is a great TBR, not only because I didn't have as many pulls since we did rolls instead, but all the books are fairly manageable, good size. There's 2 that are over 600, one of which is a YA, so it's really quick. The other one is also really quick. So yeah, I'm really excited for this March TBR. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. I will say there was one I cannot do the genre, which in my rules I added that because I knew there would be times where the prompts I was getting wouldn't fit with certain genres. And so there was one that I couldn't do the genre. I just had to go with the Hunny Jar prompt, which is within the rules. If I can't fulfill both, I go with the Hunny Jar prompt. So first we rolled for our character, which we did get a 2, which is Pooh, and Pooh Bear is a classic or a comfort read. So I actually have a series that really works for a comfort read, and it also works for 2 other prompts. And since there's 4 books in the series, I'm going to use the whole series for all 3 prompts. So we have Pooh, which is a comfort read. We also had 4 roles that were usable, and so there are 4 books in this series. And then the other one was roll 1, which we landed on purple, which is any genre, and we got the 3 bears, which is Homey Comfort, so a favorite, and this series is definitely one of my all-time favorites for sure. So the series we are going to be reading, or I am, is the Chesapeake Bay Saga by Nora Roberts. So first you have Sea Swept, then you have Rising Tide, Then we have Inner Harbor, and lastly we have Chesapeake Blue, which was my very first Nora Roberts book. And at that time there was a lot happening, a lot of changes, and it was just kind of a rough time in general. And this was the book that started my Nora Roberts obsession. And this whole series is still just very nostalgic, very comforting, and definitely a top favorite of mine. So basically, in the first three books, it's the older three brothers, and they're all were adopted by Ray and Stella Quinn. Stella passed on, and so now it was just Ray, and he ended up on his own adopting a fourth boy. And when he passed, the three brothers are kind of having to step in and fulfill their dad's last wish, which is to help this boy. And then in the fourth book, you have Seth, and he's now an adult, and he's kind of coming back home. And he has kind of his own battles and demons that he's facing and such. And so I just absolutely love the series, and I've been wanting to reread it. So I'm really, really excited that I now have the opportunity to reread it. And so that is the first four books that is going on my TBR to fulfill 3 prompts. So already adding an extra book. I just can't help myself apparently. Then for the second roll, we landed on blue, which is sci-fi. And for this, we got Puss in Boots, and the prompt was sword element. And this one was, thought was gonna be hard, and I almost actually went with a fantasy because I didn't think I had any sci-fi that kind of fit. And then I remembered, I just finished Thunderhead, so the series is Arc of a Scythe, and the third book is The Toll, and this is by Neal Shusterman, and I'm up to read The Toll. So I think this one fits definitely better than a sci-fi or fantasy rather. It is sci-fi. And basically, the series as a whole, humanity has beaten death, and so nobody dies anymore from like natural causes or illness or injury. They can get deadish, but then they're revived. And so, in order to keep population in check, you have these scythes, and they glean people. And if you're gleaned by a scythe, you're just dead. You don't get revived. And so that's kind of the premise. But obviously, there's some moral questions and such, and you kind of have like 2 factions of the Scythehood, kind of the old school type, and then the newer ones that are kind of doing things a little bit different. And so that's kind of the conflict throughout the series. And I loved how Thunderhead ended, and I cannot wait to continue and see what happens. And so, yeah, in this one, the Scythes can glean in any way that they choose to. So, by sword, by knife, by poison, whatever the case may be. So, this is definitely, why it may not have actual swords maybe in this one. There is, swords and knives and such. So I think this fits as close as I'm going to get it anyway. So I'm really, really excited to read that one. Then we got green, which is fantasy, or we landed on green. And we got a bookworm, which this was free pick, so I can choose any fantasy I want. And I almost used this as kind of like a mood read, but there was a fantasy that I really wanted to get on this TBR, and so I went ahead and went with it, and that's Cold Days by Jim Butcher. So this is, I don't even know what number in the Dresden Files, but I only have 4 left of the main series. And then, like I said, I have some anthologies, 2 of those, and there was an audio released, The Law, which I don't know if I'll listen to that or not. So, anyway, really excited to jump back into the Dresden Files. I think it's been enough time. I've been thinking about it. I've been kind of wanting to. So I think this is a good time to jump back in. And so basically, if you're not familiar, you have Harry, and he's a wizard, but he's also a PI in Chicago, and he kind of investigates like magical crimes, and he helps the police out and such. But throughout the series, there's kind of something going on a deeper level and kind of in the background, than just these cases that he's investigating. So I'm really, really excited to jump back in, and hopefully. So the last one I read was Ghost Story, and it was my least favorite of the whole series. The one before that, I think, Changes. Yeah, Changes was my favorite of the series. So hopefully this will kind of redeem the series for me, since Ghost Stories I just did not like at all. So there's that one. Then we got another purple, so again, any genre, and we got Gopher. So in my day, a historical fiction. So it really works, since that's kind of a genre prompt, that I got purple. So they didn't play against each other. But I went with Romanov by Nadine Brandes, and I am so excited. I've been wanting to read this since it first came out, and finally got it for Christmas, and now I'm finally getting to reading it. So this one says the history books say I died. They don't know the half of it. Anastasia Nastya Romanov was given a single mission to smuggle an ancient spell into her suitcase on her way to exile in Siberia. It might be her family's only salvation, but the leader of the Bolshevik army is after them, and he's hunted Romanov before. Nastya's only chance of saving herself and her family are either to release the spell and deal with the consequences, or enlist help from Zash, a handsome soldier who doesn't act like the average Bolshevik. Nastya has only dabbled in magic, but it doesn't frighten her half as much as her growing attraction to Zash. She likes him. She thinks he might even like her. That is until she's on one side of a firing squad and he's on the other. So I can't wait for this. I know I'm going to absolutely love it. And I love the cover. I'm so excited for this. So there's that one. And then let's see here. So this is the one I could not do the genre part of it. So we landed on Blue, which again is sci-fi. And the prompt I got was Read Once, Need More, which again, I got this prompt from Chris over at Chris's Corner. Channel link down below. And I just love this prompt. I was so excited when I pulled it. And so yeah, I'm not a big sci-fi reader. So any of the sci-fis I've read multiple books from that author, because they're part of a series. And so I decided to go with a fantasy, and it's The 10,000 Doors of January by Alex E. Harrow. I read The Once and Future Witches by Alex E. Harrow and absolutely fell in love with it. Really enjoyed that one, and I've been wanting to read this for ever since I read The Once and Future Witches. So I'm so excited to get to this. And it sounds like one, again, I'm absolutely gonna adore. So it says, as the ward of the wealthy Mr. Locke, January Scholar feels little different from the artifacts that decorate his sprawling mansion, carefully maintained, largely ignored, and utterly out of place. But when she finds a strange book, one that tells a tale of secret doors of love, adventure, and danger, for the first time, January realizes she can escape her story and sneak into someone else's. So I can't wait for this one. This is gonna be March is gonna be a fantastic month. So then we got another purple. So again, it could be any genre I want. And we got The Big Bad Wolf, which is dog pick, which I think this is the one I got last month that was a dog pick. I've gotten a dog pick every round of this game, which I love. The dog picks go back in the jar because I absolutely love them. And so yeah, I chose Ani to pick this time. Nidra picked for January. Boo Boo picked for February, and so it was Ani's turn. Release. And I did, let's see, I laid out There by Tommy Orange for her. I laid out Lessons from Lucy by Dave Barry. And I also laid out Eve by W.M. Paul Young. And the one that she went with was Lessons from Lucy by Dave Barry, which is fitting since it's about a dog. And so this is the one I have a project in mind. And I think it's definitely doable with the way this TBR is looking. Hopefully I won't have too many rollovers from February, in which case, like, this is definitely doable. This is looking like a good month. So in this one, basically it's inspired by Dave's dog, Lucy. And so It says she has more friends, fewer worries, and way more fun. So Dave decides to figure out how Lucy manages to stay so happy, to see if he can make his own life happier by doing the things she does, except for drinking from the toilet. He reconnects with old friends and tries to make new ones, which turns out to be a struggle because Lucy likes people a lot more than he does. And he gets back in touch with two ridiculous but fun groups from his past, the Lawn Rangers, a group of guys who march in parades pushing lawnmowers and twirling brooms. Alcohol is involved, and the Rock Bottom Remainders, the world's oldest and least talented all author band. With each new lesson, Dave riffs hilariously on dogs, people, and life in general, while also pondering deep questions such as when it's okay to lie, answer when scallops are involved. Lessons from Lucy is witty and affable guide to joyous living at any age, and as you will see when Dave faces a family crisis, these lessons come just in time for him. So, yes, very, very excited to finally get to this and get this project that I've been wanting to do done. Definitely seems doable for March. So there's that. Then we got a red, which is romance, of course, or we landed on red. And we got a heffalump, and they're multiplying. So this is basically any book that's part of a series. Um, Probably more like a continuing a series versus the first one since they're multiplying. And for this one, I went with Crystal Cove by Lisa Kleypas, which is the fourth and final book of the Friday Harbor series. And yeah, like I said, I've absolutely been enjoying the series. I'm currently reading the third book, which is Dream Lake, and absolutely loving it. So, excited for this one. Basically, this series, you have three brothers, and they live on this island off the Washington coast, and they each have kind of their own commitment issues. So it's kind of their struggle. But there's also this house that plays a part in the series, and in the third one there's this ghost, and so it has a little bit of magical realism. There's some magical realism in the second one, with the second brother Sam and his love interest Lucy. They each kind of have their own weird thing that's magical realism, and this one is actually following the female from the third book, Zoe, her cousin Justine. So it'll be interesting to see where this one takes us, since it's kind of getting off the brothers a little bit. But really, really excited to finish up that series. And I will have to check with B over at Mama Needs to Read Romance, but I'm assuming we're going to buddy read that one too. Then we got, let's see, so in this roll, I rolled and I got a 6, which I needed a 5 or less. And so I had to roll again, and I ended up landing on orange that time. And we got owl, so I can read. So ABC book, which means an ABC book challenge. And so I just do a random letter generator and choose a book title that starts with that letter, but it can't be like the A, N, or anything like that. And so I'll put it here, but I got T. And so for this one, this has been on my shelf for years. It wasn't one that I specifically chose for myself, it was sent to me. And I am excited to read it though. And so, mystery thriller, it's Track of the Cat by Nevada Barr. And yeah, this one actually sounds really, really good. I don't know why I haven't read it before. This is the fascinating hero of Nevada Barr's award winning series, Park Ranger Anna Pigeon, has brought an unyielding love of nature and sense of fair play to the mystery genre. Track of the Cat is the acclaimed novel that first introduced readers to Anna as a woman looking for peace in the wilderness and finding murder instead. Patrolling the remote West Texas backcountry, Anna's first job as National Park Ranger is marred by violence she thought she'd left behind, the brutal death of a fellow ranger. When the cause of death is chalked up to a mountain lion attack, Anna's rage knows no bounds. It's up to her to save the protected cats from the politics and prejudice of the locals and prove that the kill was the work of a species far less rare. So, yeah, I can't wait to read that one. It actually sounds really, really good. So, excited for that. Then re-rolled 3 more times and wasn't able to move forward. Um, and so on the fourth time, we ended up landing on the final spot, which is blue, so we got to the North Pole. And for this one, we got the Hunchback of Notre Dame and its disability rep. So it needs to be a sci-fi with a disability rep. And Christine over at An Autistic Reader is doing kind of a readathon this year, Autism Reads. And so each month is focused on a different book with autism rep. And March's pick is perfect for this. So it is called, let's see here, On the Edge of Gone by Corinne Duvis. I'll insert a picture, of course. And this one is, was made for this prompt, so it worked out perfectly. Basically, it's set in the future, and there's a comet about to come and hit Earth, and so people are kind of hiding, and you have, I forget the character's name already, I read the synopsis, but you have the main character, her mom, and her sister, and they're have a spot where they're gonna kind of try to survive when the comet hits, but there is a opening on a ship that's going into space, but everybody who is accepted has to have some value for the ship. So they have to have something to offer. Well, the main character is autistic, so I'm really, really excited. This month in February, it was Queens of Geek, which I'm not into Comic-Con or SuperCon or none of those convention things, which is what the main book is about. But you're following two different girls, and then also their friend, and some friends they meet along the way. And the one character, Taylor, is autistic too. So really, really ended up enjoying that one. And I had been meaning to read more books with autism rep for a while now. And so Christine putting on this readathon is perfect. And like I said, this book that is chosen for March works perfectly for this prompt because it's sci-fi and it has disability rep. So that is fantastic. So that is all the books. So what we got, 9 rolls plus our character and our unusable moves. And so that's 11 books, but of course I added an extra one, so that's 12. And then, of course, we have my genre-a-thon. So my manga, which is going to be, of course, I already mentioned, Death Note Volume 2. We got that on there. And then, of course, Anna Kendrick's memoir, Scrappy Little Nobody, is on there. And so that's 14 books, which I just can't seem to help myself. Which, I should be able to knock those out pretty quickly, and so I am hoping to still get to these 3. These are not officially part of my TBR though, but if I can, I need to finish up my ABC Author Challenge. So Eve is definitely top priority once I finish my other reads. And then, like I said, if I can get to there, I will. And Who is the River will kind of be last on the list, so if I can get to it, great. Otherwise, I will try to prioritize it in April and get this read as well so I can finish up that ABC Author Challenge. So yeah, these 3 are just going to be extra. So that'd be 17 books, which I read 17 books in January. Had a lot more, and some of those were larger books. So definitely I think is doable. And I'm excited to continue on with some series and just have a good time reading all around. So that is the books. As always, if you're interested in any of them, I leave the titles and authors down below because it really helps me out when other booktubers do that. Because by the end of the video, I can't remember what all the books they said, or the exact name or author or anything like that. So I always love when other booktubers do that. So I always do that. In case you want, you can just highlight it and Google it and find the book that you're interested in. So that is it for March's round of Once Upon a TBR Hunny Jar. Yeah, let me know what you think. If you are interested in any of these books, if you've read any of these books, and what you're excited to read since it's mid-February, what you're excited to read this month. And I will go ahead and leave you guys here. Happy reading, everyone. Bye.